I hope you have not left us, and even if you will be, those who have left us will be joining soon. Uh, this is the second session of the fourth day of this 1 week national workshop on tools and emerging tools and technologies in research. Dr. Utpal Pal has already discussed about R programming, and this will be continued by Dr. Shubir Kumar Sen in this session, along with the hypothesis testing. That is the main focus of this session or of this talk. So let me introduce today's speaker, Dr. Shubir Kumar Sen. He is presently working as an associate professor in the Department of Commerce, Tripura University. He has done his MSc in economics, and consequently he has done his PhD. His present interest in research includes regional economics, operational research, panel data, econometrics. He is the life member of Indian Econometrics Society, life member of Indian Commerce Society, and also the life member of Operational Research Society of India. He has also completed a research project sponsored by UGC and in the year 2009. He has published a handsome number of research articles in journal as well as in conferences. So he, other than the respected expert, he is our beloved elder brother. We call him Shubirda, and he always kind enough to us to give his consent towards the expert session in each and every previous event. So, sir, thank you very much for this time also, for accepting our invitation and for sharing your valuable knowledge in hypothesis, in our programming as well as in your expertise areas. So, sir, with this, I welcome you, and I'd like to take this privilege to hand over the session to you.
Okay, thank you, Bhai. I'm extremely sorry for the inconvenience caused to all of you due to these poor connections and
no, actually, that is the technical problem.
And since we are non-technical persons, so really it's hard for us to deal with such tricky situations. Anyway, let's start this one. I'm 1 second sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. Whether the presentation is visible?
Yeah, it is visible. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Actually, my topic is hypothesis testing. But before going to that one, so we have to start with the sampling, because when you go for a hypothesis testing, simply consider one simple situation. Suppose we want to conduct a study on the marks distributions pattern of different students in Tripura University. In that case, we can go for collecting informations for each and every unit in the populations, that is the for Tripura University student. That will be a laborious job, and simultaneously it involves some cost also. In that case, in order to minimize time and cost, what we do, we simply go for collecting a small fractions of that one, whole populations known as the samples. So on the basis of that sample, we basically try to infer about that whole populations. That's why we need some sampling also. Regarding sampling, I'll not take much time. We directly go to that particular topic and try to discuss how these hypothesis testings are applied in some of the specific cases. Here we'll generate some data, and on the basis of that one, we try to go for choosing what is the right type of hypothesis testing we have to use, and what are the cases. So as the populations is concerned, the notion of populations is something different from the notions of populations of a state or populations of a country or populations of a university like this one. Rather, here we talked about the statistical population. Suppose we talked about the marks distributions pattern of the different students, then we say that k is equal to 1, that is populations is univariate. If we consider two characteristics, suppose marks and age distributions of the different students, then we say that it is the bivariate populations. Suppose you consider age, income, marks, and other things like this one, that is, we call this one as a multivariate populations. So here, so far as this, we can go for collecting informations for each and every unit of the populations. In that case, that is known as census. Alternatively, we also try to characterize the populations by considering a small fractions of the populations known as the sampling. So actually, we are basically interested in measuring the characteristics of the populations, and here two possibilities are there. What I am discussing this one. So when you go for a hypothesis testing, that is necessary when you go for sampling, not for complete enumerations. So here we have populations, means set of all elements being considered, and sample set of items chosen for study. Here when you consider the properties of the populations, that is known as the parameter, and when you talked about the characteristics of the samples, that is known as the statistic and not the statistics. Here we just use some notations. Populations mean parameter and it is denoted by the Greek or the capital letters, whereas samples are denoted by small or lowercase of Roman letters. So when you talked about the, suppose here x1, x2, x capital N, and that is when you talked about the, suppose N is the number of students in Tripura University. So here we have size, mean values, standard deviations, proportions like this one, mean, that is, it's a constant. Why it is constant? Because suppose we have 3,000 students, if we can really find what is the mean marks of the different students by considering each and every unit, definitely that should be a constant. But instead of considering 3,000 students, suppose we consider only 30 number of students. So anyway, if I choose 30 students, you can choose another 30 students in this manner. Whenever you go for a sampling units are basically changing from persons to persons, and accordingly that sample mean is basically a variable. So it's a variable. So when we talked about the statistic, here everything is basically known to us because we have collected information for 30 students. So for these 30 students, we know what is N, that is how many samples we have taken, what is the sample mean, and like this one, that is what is the sample standard deviations or the proportions of that one, sample proportions. But regarding parameter, only one thing is known to us, and that is basically the size of the populations. We know that there are total N number, that is to capital N, that is 3,000 populations are there. Now, on the basis of that one, so instead of going there, suppose we consider a very small example. Just to explain this one, it would be better, we should go by a small example. And suppose, so I just start with a one simple Excel file where we have data for, suppose we consider the information for Tripura University and NIT, suppose. For the sake of simplicity, assume that we consider some of the data, and here we try to generate the data. Today the computer is really interesting one, and I am really facing such a problem. I cannot tell you, this is the first time, that is when I talked about this one, even it is not working properly. Okay, so concept of hypothesis testing, I'll definitely come to here, but before that, here two types of tests are there. So let me open this one. Okay, suppose I have opened one marks distributions pattern. Suppose this is University ABCD, and suppose it is NIT ABCD, and for the sake of simplicity, assume that University has total 1,000 students and NIT has 800 students, so pass out students. Now suppose let me generate some marks. Suppose the marks is basically in between rand between suppose I consider the marks from 30 to suppose 99, and after generating these marks, suppose I have generated a samples of, that is, these are the populations for 1,000 students. I generate this one. So I generate the marks, copy and then paste special, that is, let me fix this one. So I generate, these are the marks for University ABCD, and by similar logic I generate some marks for rand between suppose it is again 30 to 98. I generate some marks, red colors basically the for NITs. So I have generated this 800 marks. So these are basically the base specials and values. I put it here. So these are the marks we have. Now I want to compare between these two marks. That is how they are basically, what are their characteristics, how the hypothesis states are made, how hypotheses are made, like this one. So when I considered this one and I talked about that, each and every time we have to draw some inferences from this one. Here we have 1,000 students from University ABCD, and we have 800 students from this NIT. So total 800 students. I have taken this one. Suppose there are 800 pass out, and here we have 1,000 pass out. So first of all, I have to select some of the samples. So suppose we decided 1,000 students are there, we'll take only 2% of the samples. So we have to take only 2% samples, means that is 2% samples means out of 1,000, 2% means only 20 samples from University ABCD, and 800 into 2%, that is only 16 samples from NIT. So if I want to generate any samples, so here suppose the name of the students are given there, these are all alphanumeric. So until and unless it is in numeric, we cannot do anything. So let us put some, put some ID for this one. Suppose I decided to take 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers of 0, then 1. Then I consider 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. So this is the ID. So I set some IDs for university student. I start with 1, 4 number of 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, like this one. And for suppose similar is the case, I put some ID for each and every student. It may be their roll number also. So I decided to do this one. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1, then again I write 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1. So I assign some ID to them. So it is basically numeric ID, because otherwise it becomes numeric. We cannot go for sampling this one. Now suppose I want to select any 16 roll numbers from any 20 roll numbers from university and 16 roll numbers from NIT. So how I do this one? So for university, so let's go to data, and there you find one data analysis portions is there. So from here I go to sampling. I simply go to sampling. Sampling means randomly I'll select any 20. So I go there, yes, input range, I choose this one, university ID. So total 1,000 students are there, and actually this is the sampling frame from where we are basically doing the samples. Yes, labels is there. Why it is labels? Because when I choose this one, the first one is basically the university ID. It was the alphanumeric character. The labels were there. That's why I have chosen. So I have to choose any 20. So if it is any 20, so then any 20. So I again repeat this one, data analysis, then sampling, and here we have chosen. So here if you want to do this one, I have to start from the last one. So I have chosen the whole 1 to 1,000 number of students. I have chosen this one, and labels is there. Then I choose 20 number of, I need to choose only 20 number of samples. And suppose I want to put them, output ranges, I want to put them here. So I'll get there. So these are the samples. I have generated this one. These are the samples. I have generated this one. Once I have generated this one, next one is that here only the roll numbers are selected. But what would be about their marks? For this, I have to choose the corresponding 100644 roll number. What marks was there? I have to choose this one. So I use one functions, VLOOKUP. I use these functions. From VLOOKUP, I want to choose this roll number, and I want to know what is the corresponding marks. So I select these two without any labels. I select these two, that is up to this one, and then I put F4. So then I choose So then choose this one, C1002. Then I put so I need to fix this one. Yes, I fixed it. Then from index 2, that is from 2, I have to shift it. And once I click this one, automatically these are basically selected. So if I select this one, all the marks are selected. You can check this one, 100427, 37 marks. So let's check 100427. So 100427, 427. Yes, 37 marks is there. So that means we have populate them properly. By similar logic, I also consider the same thing. So here I use for another sampling for from NIT. So I go to data and sampling, and there, in order to choose this one, I start from here, selecting here. So this is basically my roll number from NIT. And here, since 800 is there, out of 2%, we have to choose any 16. So I select this one. Yes, levels is there. I need to choose any 16. And my output range would be, then I choose output range here. So if I select this one, oh, sorry. So these are, okay, sorry. Yes, ठीक है ना? क्या होता है? कॉल में है कोई? क्या हो रहा है तुम्हारा कंप्यूटर? आज के पूरा डिपार्टमेंट का कंप्यूटर एक ही प्रॉब्लम है. मैं ऑडिबल भाई? हेलो?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Yes, sir. Audible.
So let's repeat this one. As really, the computer is
The
really.
PPT is not audible.
Let's choose this one. So I'm choosing this one. So suppose to 1, 2, 3, 4. So suppose this is the roll number. So I go to data, then data analysis, then
The screen is not visible.
Yeah, sir, your screen is off.
screen is off. Hey, why screen is off, bhai?
It's not in presentation mode.
क्या बेटा? कुछ नहीं आ रहा है.
Okay. Presentation.
Enter screen. Okay. Now is it visible?
Yeah, it's coming.
Thank you, bhai. Okay. So I go to data, then data analysis and sampling. Okay. Once I go to sampling, I choose this one. So that is total 800 population units are there. I choose them. So total 200 up to 800 is there. Let's choose this one. And level is there. So here I need to choose only 16. So I want to output be here. So these are the 16 samples that has been chosen. So what would be the corresponding marks? I just simply use lookup functions. Then I want to choose this one from where? From this series where marks and IDs are given. Then I fix them, and from index 2, that is column index 2, I want to search the marks. So once I do this one, so here I need to call only 16, and we get this one. These are the samples. So we have collected the samples from university as well as from NITs. So we have some specific marks distributions, and these are all basically samples. We have taken only 2% of the total population. That is, out of 1,000, we have taken only 20 from universities and 2% from NIT. That is, out of 800, we have taken only 16. So what are the tests we can do this one? So first of all, I want to compare whether the mean marks scored by the different students of Tripura University and whether the mean marks of Tripura University and that is NIT are same or not. I want to check this one. But when I want to check this one, that is what type of test we need to do this one. For this, we need to go by that is what type of test I should use this one. So for this, I can come back to some theories. So this is central limit theorem. I'm not taking some time. Just notice one thing, that here sigma square means population's variance, and that is actually not known to us. That is unbiased, because I have already tell you that what we know about the populations is only the size of the populations. We know that 1,000 students passed from Tripura University and 800 students passed from that is from NIT. And when we take only 2% samples, we that is randomly selected this 20 students from Tripura University and 16 students from NIT. So what we know about the samples, everything is known to us. But regarding that one, regarding the populations other than the size, we know nothing about this one. And how we collect these informations? Here we collect the informations directly from here. That is here from this list sample frame. So it may seems that okay, we know everything. Not like this one. Here I, for classroom purpose, I have used this one, but actually I have directly collected this information from the field of inquiry. That is, I randomly select 30 students, 20 students, and ask them about what their marks. So when I go for a hypothesis testing, here two things are important. That is, what is our initial suppositions? A hypothesis is a suppositions about the population's parameter. So here we call this as a null hypothesis. That is, what is your initial suppositions, and anything that contradicts the null hypothesis is known as the alternative hypothesis. And here null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, they are basically mutually exclusive and exhaustive set of events. That's just like, suppose I toss a coin, I can get, if it is unbiased coin, either head or tail. If head is there, tail cannot be there. If head is not there, tail must be there. First of all, so they are mutually exclusive, they cannot occur simultaneously. And if I toss a coin, either head or tail must be there. That is, no third options are available. That's why they are mutually exhaustive set of events. So here, null hypothesis, I have considered this one, that is the preferred suppositions, and secondly alternative, that basically anything that contradicts this one. Suppose I talked about that, that is my initial suppositions is that mean marks, and that is there is no difference of mean marks of Tripura University and NIT. In that case, this is my null hypothesis. Anything that contradicts this one, that is I can contradict in three ways. That is, there is no difference between Tripura University and NIT so far as the marks distribution is concerned. Here, either more or less, I am not considering this one, so it is two-tailed test. Or you can consider that marks of NIT is better than marks of average marks of Tripura University, then it is right-tailed test, or marks of Tripura University is greater than marks of NIT, it is left-tailed test, like this one. We can consider. So when we proceed, then here, these are the situations. I suppose I'm talking about the price of a pen. So my null hypothesis is that price of a pen is 5. So I can challenge this as whatever be the price, it is not equal to 5. It is called two-tailed test. Or I can challenge like this one, whatever be the price, it is the average must be more than 5. It is called right-tailed test. Or whatever be the price, it is must be less than 5. It is left-tailed test. Now here we have some errors in hypothesis testing. And these two are basically H0 is indeed true and H0 is wrong anyway. How I say this one? Let's directly come to here. So these are called the type 1 and type 2 error. So actual state of nature, suppose H0 is true and H0 may not be true. That is, it is false. Now I go for do not reject H0. So in that case, H0 is true and I say that do not reject H0, so it is the correct decision. Suppose H0 is false, that is my initial suppositions was false, and my decision was do not accept H0. So that was also correct, there is no problem. Sometimes the problem arises when H0 is true. That is, I know that H0 mu is equal to 5, price of the pen, average price is 5. But somehow I am not able to accept that one. So do not accept H0. If I take this one, so there is some error, and this is called type 1 error. And this is basically known as alpha. That is alpha. That is, suppose alpha is equal to 5%. There is a 5% error is permitted. So in that case, if alpha is equal to type 1 error, that is 1 minus alpha, that is 95% is the confidence. So in my decision, if I made a error of 5%, my corresponding confidence is at 95% confidence. Now, if this is a two-tailed test, this 5% confidence is basically divided in two parts, 2.5% and 2.5% on both sides. Another one is that sometimes H0 is false, but somehow I fail to reject H0. Do not reject H0, I accept H0. So that type of error is type 2 error. Normally I say, suppose I say that is Joyantu is not a very good boy. So this may be my type 1 error. And on the basis of that, if I say that don't mix up with Joyantu sir, then that is my type 2 error. So definitely type 1 error can be avoided, but don't try to go for a type 2 error, because when type 1, there is a problem with type 1 error, there might be a type 2 error also. So it would be better if I say that don't mix up with Joyantu sir, don't believe me. It would be better to believe Joyantu sir. So this is type 1 error. But on the basis of my suppositions, if I say that don't mix up with Joyantu sir because Joyantu sir is not good, so I have one type 1 error, and again I am committing another mistake, that is type 2 error. Don't believe on this one. So what are the steps? So first of all, you have to state the pair of hypothesis, then suggest the relevant test statistic. Relevant test statistic means that is what type of distributions I should use this one. Then here I have to divide the sampling distribution into parts. So many theories are there. Let it be there. We just go by one. Suppose first case is that I want to test the mean marks. Here some cases are there where mean marks is unknown, but variance of the marks is known. Actually, these are good for classroom purpose. Other than classroom purpose, it is not possible. I don't know the marks distributions pattern. What are the marks scored by the different students of Tripura University? But I know that is there. What is their variability? It is basically absurd. It happened only in the classroom. Other than classroom, it never happened. Now suppose another case, I go for a mu unknown. I don't know mu known. And suppose another case, this is also interesting. That is, I want to go for a mu unknown, sigma is unknown, and n greater than 30. Actually, when I was a student, during suppose when I passed in 2001, master degree passed in 2001, at that time in my department only one computer was there, and we have a practical on photon for 2 plus 2 is equal to 4 and 2 minus 2 is equal to 0. And I'm sorry to say that we have 220 students and we have only 20 marks in that practical, only on the basis of that one. And you can imagine what we have learned. At that time, we need to do everything using the statistical table. And actually, so far as the T table, student T table is concerned, after 29, it was not available. So at that time, after 29, that is if a sample size was 35 or 36, we have to approximate by normal distributions. That's why the concept of large sample or small sample came. But once there is an introduction of computers and we can study statistics through this computer, and there is no need to study these cases also, because it is also good for classroom purpose only, because we can go for computer not only n greater than 30. I have checked that I can find the t values for 99,99,999 also. So in our time, when I was a student, it was available only up to 30. That's why this case was there. Nowadays, we never go for that one. So I'm showing this one, and I have already shared this PPTs with all of you. If you want, you can study this one. Everything is available there. Most important one is that at that time, in our time, it was called the small sample test, where n was less than 30, and we can calculate this value from S student T table, not from the Z table. Here, X bar is basically your sample mean. This is your preferred hypothesis, that is null hypothesis. Here, this is basically S root over n, like this one. This is the sampling error. So first of all, we state the hypothesis. Suppose I consider case 3a, mu is equal to mu naught. Suppose first I consider this one. So here it is this one. So first, suppose I consider this one, it is left tail test. First one 3a is left tail, it is right tail, and it is two tail test. So how to check? Here we have taken alpha. If it is a left tail test, then whole of this error, that is 5% error, is on the left hand side. If it is a right tail test, whole of the 5% error in the right hand side. And if you go by two tail test, then this 5%, that is alpha, is basically divided into two parts, alpha by 2 on the right hand side and alpha by 2 on the left hand side. So here 2.5% and 2.5% errors are there. Assuming H0 to be true, suppose you assume that H0 is true, definitely you will find some values of the test statistic. If it is within this range, then do not reject H0. That is, you have to more or less accept your initial suppositions. Otherwise, you cannot accept that one. You cannot, that is, you have to believe on the alternative hypothesis. So do not accept H0 if these two conditions happens. These are all basically theory. All are basically theory. So again, we go back to that particular one. So here we have university marks and NIT marks. Suppose I want to compare between these two. That is, whether there is any difference of marks between the university student or that is the NIT student. So what we do, first let's directly go to this one. First I have chosen all these things. Next I copy it. And suppose I paste it here as simply values. So these are the values, university marks and NIT marks are there, the marks of the students. Now I want to compare between this one. When you try to compare between the mean marks, first of all, you have to test the variability. That is most important. Normally we think that we are testing the mean. So what is the need of variability? No. First of all, you have to test the variability. On the basis of this variability, your test statistic will be discussed. That is what particular test I want to choose, that one that will be decided. So for this, I again go to data analysis, and we go for a F test. Two samples for variance. So once I choose this one, so variable 1 range is university 1 marks, okay, and variable 2 is basically NIT marks. These two marks are there. Levels is there because university marks and NIT marks are given there. And here I want to compare the variability, whether the variability is same or not. I simply write here 0 and I left it here. I forget here. So again, go back to. So what about the result? I got this one. So variable 1 range, then variable 2 range. This is, and they are unequal, and then I output range, I put it here. So I get some results. So let it be there. I'm not coming here. I will again come back later here. So if I go there, again, I go to my PPTs, and there you find here hypothesis testing of some test of populations. That is, I'll come back here. Actually, we try to test this one. Two sample test for means mu1, mu2, sigma 1, sigma 2 are all unknown. Everything is basically unknown because we don't know what is the mean marks of Tripura University or NIT, because we have not considered them, all the units or their variability also. Everything is basically unknown. So here we want to check this one. Suppose the third case, that is, there is no difference against there is some differences. This is the test statistic, and directly come to this table. 5% error are there on two sides. If it falls under this region, then we'll do not reject H0. Otherwise, do not accept H0. And here, when we consider these two, but before that one, we have to go by some test of variability. So let's come to this variability test. So as this variability test is concerned, here we are considering some variability of this one. Comparing the variability of two normal populations. So mu unknown, sigma unknown. Actually, I am comparing this test using computer. Sigma 1 by sigma 2 is equal to 1. There is no change. There is no variability. Again, there is some variability. And this is the relevant test statistic. And here we find that if this is the case, then only we can find that Okay, if it falls within here, there is no variability. If it falls either here or here, there is some variability. So again, we gave back two results. So if it falls within this one, within these white portions, then there is no variability. Otherwise, there is some variability. So let's check that one. So for this, we again go back there. Here, concentrate on this. I hope you can listen. Concentrate on this particular values. So I make it bold. So concentrate on this particular values. If this value, so here I write, if this value less than 0.05, less than 0.5, then do not accept H0. Otherwise, do not reject H0. So here, do not reject H0. Since here p-value is greater than 0.05, my assertion is that do not reject H0. So what was H0? There is no difference of variance among these marks of university students and the NIT students. So this is a case of equal variance case. Once it is the equal variance case, then we can go for another test. The test is that is there any really differences of changes of marks or not? So first we check the variability and then we go for testing, that is there any change? If you look at here, there you find that there are three types of tests are there. So far as t-test is concerned, paired to sample for means, no, we cannot consider paired because we have 20 number of samples from university and 16 number of samples from NIT. So paired sample cannot be done. Secondly, two samples assuming equal variance, and secondly, two samples assuming unequal variance. So far as our assumptions is that initially we have checked the variability and here we find that the corresponding value was greater than 0.05. So our decision was do not reject H0. So there is no variability among the marks of university and the NIT students. Now we go for data analysis, and here we go for, so appropriate t-test, we have to choose this one. Here t-test means two sample assuming equal variance. I choose these options. Then again, variable one range is university marks. Then again, the variable two range is basically the NIT marks. I have chosen this one. Then hypothesis mean difference. Suppose there is no difference of means 0, I make it 0. And corresponding output range, I took the output range here. So if I run this one, so I choose this one, and there is a labels, that is first values are there, and then yes, this is the results. Here again, look at this one, PT less than 2 critical. That is, I make it bold so that you can understand. Here also, the corresponding values is basically greater than 0.05. So my initial assumptions was that there is no difference of marks between university and NITs, and we end up with the assumptions. We end up with the results that so there is sufficient evidences are there to believe that there is no differences of marks between university and the NITs. So we cannot assume that there is some differences. So it would be better to stick with the null hypothesis. My null hypothesis is that there is no difference between these two. Any problem up to this point? Anyone? Okay. So if this is the case, so let's go to here. So first we test this one, and on the basis of first we test the variability, and on the basis of which we go for testing the mean test also. Notice here that here we consider in terms of F values, but in computer that basically comes in terms of P values. If you want to calculate P values, if you know the P values, if P is less than 0.05, then definitely you have to consider this one as do not accept H0. If P greater than 0.05, do not reject H0. Some chi-square test and factorial experiments are there. So let us now repeat all these things in R. That is, and I have already said this one. Whatever we have done this one, let's repeat this in R. So first I change directory. You have just learned all these things. That is how R is operating. And here we have one folder. Open script. Yes, this is available here. So first let's do one thing. I have in impulse classes, we have already learned this one. So let's take a small break and see what happened in R. We've learned all these things. So let's start. So this is the starting of part. And dear participant, let's continue this boring session. You are already with this boring session. Let's start with this one. So test of populations mean with known variance. Suppose we are considering this case and we consider a simple example. The example is that we consider a two-tailed test. And here, suppose this is X bar. What we find this one? Mu values, SDs, N, standard error, and we calculate ZH naught. So once you have that values, you can directly calculate this one. Is p value is less than 0, greater than 0.05. So do not reject H naught. So do not reject H naught. This is the options. Suppose we do this one for a left tail test. Whatever we have in that PPT, you can directly run it. And here also you directly come to this p values. If it is a right tail test, similar thing will also happen. So if it is a right tail test with known variance, so what we are talking about this one, that is this happened only in the classroom, then just looking at this last value p norm, so coding is also there. Whatever the value you have, you just change this one here and accordingly you get the results. So proceeding in this way, we come to suppose we want to test right tail test with known variance, unknown variance, populations mean with unknown variance. So many things are there. All the codes are available. You simply go there and run this one. Every time you will end up with one p values. And this p values basically gives you the idea whether to accept H naught null hypothesis or not. So here we come with the case of test of variances. Test of variances, we come with this one. And suppose here we want to do two-tailed test for variance. Suppose sigma is equal to 3 and we have these are the values. I directly come to this one. This is known as the interval estimations. If this is basically false within these two values, then you have to accept, do not reject H naught. Otherwise, do not accept H naught. That is, you cannot accept the null hypothesis. This is the one way. Testing of equal variance test, what we have discussed right now. Suppose these are the values we have and then we go for a two-tailed test. So in that case, this is the suppose the variance of Tripura University. This is the variance of sample variance of what I say, that is NITs. This is the samples from Tripura University. This is the samples from NITs. Then this is the degree of freedom for Tripura University, degree of freedom for NITs. Then we set the alpha 10% level. Then we calculate F and then we set the corresponding, that is what, that is whether they are basically within this interval or not. That is most important. 676675, 676675, like a close one. So next one. So let's continue till you are. I'm really surprised to see how you are tolerate me. Continuously one statistics is there till you are silent. I know that how you are silent. Let's silent the speaker and continue with the sessions. Okay. Let me continue this one. Okay. Test of hypothesis. Now we consider some real data. Suppose X and Y, some data is there and we want to perform whatever we have discussed in Excel and in theory. Suppose we want to do this one. So here I just scan these values. So I scan it. Let's see. Yes, total 32 items are there. And now we scan Y. So Y is, we have learned all these things in Pulsar class. So there are 39 items. So if I want to compare this one, here one important thing should be there, because if R cannot identify that they have same number of observations, then there will be problem. But unfortunately, we have 32 numbers of observations for X and 39 numbers of observations in Y. That's why what we do, we'll create some proxies, that is near about 7 number of observations for X, and who will be treated as NA, that is not available. But they will identify this one as okay, no, it's okay. They are basically, there are total same 39 number of observations are there. For this, I define N as the maximum of length of X and length of Y. So definitely, so N is equal to definitely 39. So you can take it, N is equal to 39. Yes, N is equal to 39. That is, they are taking the length of Y as the length of both X and Y. But we know that length of X is 32. So what we do, I define that length of X is 39, length of Y is also 39. Then I combine the data. Let's see the data. Yes, what you see that X and Y are there, and out of that, after 32, 33 to 39, NaN options are there. But in terms of data structure, they have taken this one as the same number of observations are there. So let's write this in the write dot table as a my data test. Yes, I have written this one. Let's see the file. Yes, one file has been generated here. Okay. So read that file. I read that file, and that comes out as, yes, the same data is there, but it is in a file. I combine this one. What is the advantage of this one? Advantage is that first of all, I go for a summary. If I go for a summaries, X and Y, here you find that all the observations, this is called the 7-point summary, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7-point summary is there. Minimum, maximum, first quartile, third quartile, as well as the mean and median also available here. Apart from that, how many NAs are there? For X, there are 7 number of NAs that is also available. Now, if I want to do this one, t-test, Y is equal to mu, here this is the observations. Here the advantage is that here you can, once you put them, combine them and put it in a data file with simple code, you need not go for such long process like Excels. You can directly calculate this one. All the calculations are coming. That is t-test, Y is equal to mu is equal to 1, alternative less. And for second one, I can go for a getter. And for third one, I can two-sided. All are coming here continuously. That is t-test. I again go this one for Y. You can go this. We can find this one. Even variance test also we can calculate this one. So t-test with equal variance or t-test with unequal variance, anything we can do this one. So this is the advantage of R over this Excel applications. However, some advantages are definitely there. What are the advantages? Suppose I again go by that Excels. Suppose I go by again that Excels. Here we have considered university marks and NIT marks. Now, if I want to calculate, suppose I only consider this university marks. I copy it. Only values. Suppose if someone asks you to calculate this one, that is, what is that? I want to know that the difference is the mean marks of university is 60. Suppose I want to check this one. If you go by data analysis toolpack, in data analysis toolpack, no such test is there where you can test that where all are basically two sample tests. No single sample tests are there. So you cannot calculate this one. However, there is a trick through which you can do this one. Suppose I create one dummy. And I put 0 here, 0 and 0 here. So I can go for a one sample test also. In that case, I have to utilize this one. That is t-test equal variance. I consider this one. Here it is there and there. And the second one, I consider this one. And suppose hypothesis mean difference. I want to check whether the mean marks of Tripura University is 60 or not. So I write here 60. Then output range, I choose this particular positions and we reject this one. Here you'll get this one. Here university marks is there and one dummy is there. So simply mask it. That is, we don't need this one. I mask it. So what is relevant for me? This portion is relevant. So within this portion, simply go to the T2 critical. So here also again, it is greater than 0.05. So do not reject H0. So my reject H0 was that my suppositions was that the mean marks of Tripura University students is 60. And I cannot reject this H0. I cannot reject H0. That's why I cannot reject H0. So my initial supposition is that university's mean marks is 60. So there is no evidences at that we have to reject it. So rather we have to accept this one. That is okay. So this is the advantage of this one, but you have to apply some tricks. Otherwise you cannot find this one. Okay, that's all for today. So I have bored you enough. First, due to this computer, and second, due to this boarding one. Thanks for tolerating me. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, with kind permission from you, may I please ask my query? This is
Yes,
Shami.
yes, please. Yes,
I'm a
please.
Commonwealth scholar and graduate of LSE UK.
Okay,
Because
sir.
of this COVID crisis and Christmas vacation, I have been back here in my native place in
Okay,
West
sir.
Bengal, by the way.
Okay.
Sir, first of all, my humble request to you is that your slide is really very much resourceful. Would you please be kind to share it with us, please?
Yes, yes, I have already shared this one with the coordinator.
Okay.
So you can contact with the coordinator, sir, Alok sir. Alok sir will definitely share with all of you.
Okay,
Whatever
thank you
with the
very much,
code
sir.
I have and the other things, I have already shared this one before this class. And I'm
Okay,
extremely
okay.
sorry for the inconvenience caused to all of you due to this technical problems I'm facing with my computers.
It is quite okay, sir. It is quite okay, sir. I mean, all over the world, these sort of things are happening nowadays. Anyway, sir, my humble request to you is that,
Yes, sir. Yes.
as right now you have taught us about this, I mean, hypothesis test. I mean, testing.
Yes, yes, sir.
So, level of confidence, or alternatively, I mean, level of significance is a very vital. I mean,
Yes,
does play a
sir.
very vital role
Yes,
when
sir.
actually selecting this. I mean, this actually. I mean, should I
In some
go
cases,
for
you have
null
to select
hypothesis or
up
should
to
I go for?
20%.
Yes, should I go
That
for
is
alternative?
normally in
hypothesis?
classroom purpose, we use 5% level of significance, that is alpha is equal to 5%. Or when you use simply statistical table and go for a F test, then we have to deliberately take alpha is equal to 0.10. Otherwise, we cannot go for two type tests. In 2021, when I passed MSc, actually we don't have any other options. But if you use either Excel or R or any other softwares like Python and other things, there you
Okay.
can choose any type of level of significance, 20, 19, 0.001, anything you can do this one.
Sir,
Anything.
there is the thing actually, as
Yes.
I mean, in some paper, for example, Honorable Professor Dr. Alpana Kataja ma'am from
Yes.
Rajasthan University Economics Department,
Yes,
in
sir.
one of his paper, I have got that he has taken the level of confidence is, I mean, 90%.
Yes.
But usually in the social science discipline, usually the trend is actually we should go for, I mean, 95%. In
Yes,
most of the papers
95%,
actually.
99% also. In fact, what happens that actually when I try to present my results, suppose all are basically coming very good with 5% and one or two are disturbing with, they are basically significant with 8%, suppose. So in that persons, what happens? We take 90% confidence interval. In that case, up to 10%, all are satisfied. So that
How
basically
it is,
depends on.
I mean, how it could be that much, I mean, arbitrary? That is my question to you.
No, that is not arbitrary. In fact, in R, this is the options. You have to choose from several options.
Sir, I am
This
very
one.
fluent in R. I am very fluent in
Yes.
Python.
You know that in a star, double star, triple star, all stars are
Yes.
given there, na?
Yes.
So this
So,
is the up to the
selecting-
researcher which one you will choose.
Sir, my question is not that. My humble request is that, I mean, selecting a particular, I mean, level of confidence is not the issue. I can take it. I can
Yes.
take actually the level of confidence will be only I mean, 50%. I can get that.
Okay, sir.
But the fact is that, sir, I mean, what is the proper, I mean, standard norm on
Sir,
which actually I
sir,
should stick
actually
to?
the
Because,
standard norm
I mean,
is that
I'm not a-
maximum in social science we can take alpha is equal to 5. But
Okay.
nowadays what happens now in social science, statistics basically overcomes the problem of social science. In that case, we basically go for a paper because we know some statistics and we want to show this one. whether statistics is for the paper or paper is otherwise required to show your statistical strength. That is the major problem what the researchers in social science are facing nowadays. That's why what you are telling now, that is in 90% he or she has reported some results. Actually, in most of the social science paper nowadays, I am not talking about the other science faculties because I am from social science. I am talking about that one. Here, our main problem is to show that how much statistics we really know this one. Whether statistics is needed for the paper or paper is basically we are going for a paper just because we want to show that we have some statistical jugglery. Not like that one. So when you set a particular problem, it may happen that you are not able to prove that it is statistically significant till it is possible to analyze that one. But here what happens, we believe on that we have to make it star or double star in my results so that that will be accepted by everyone. That's why madam may have taken that one. That's why the 90% instead of 95%. But super my knowledge is concerned and what my teachers told me that it would be better to go by maximum 5%, not more than that one.
Yes, sir. So that is the thing. I mean, if it is maximum 5%, then that paper should be rejected, right? But to my fair knowledge, it has been actually accepted by a Scopus Index journal. In my fair knowledge, for sure.
Sir, in Scopus Index journal, you can check another things also. Sometimes if you check the t-values comes out to be less than 1.96 and p-values are coming at less than 0.05. How is it happened? You know better than me. So some reporting are also there, even if the t-values are there, if it is less than 1.96, p cannot be less than 0.05. But I know many of the journals, there's not only Scopus Index journal, even some impact factors are also there till this type of reporting are there because they miss this one or that may be open access like this one. I don't know what is the logic behind this one. So they may ask you, it has been published by some impact factor journal and you are telling me that it is not good. Actually, if you have some cholesterol, definitely you must have some triglycerides. And you are claiming that I don't have any cholesterol, but I have some triglyceride. How is it possible? T-values and other things are just related like this one.
True. True. Okay. Sir, my another humble request to you, please don't mind.
Yes, please.
Sir, the fact is that the minimum sample size is 30. Okay. So that, I mean, sample actually, it tends to behave as per the population. If my number is actually 30 or more.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, sir, why the number is not 29 or why the number is not 31? Why is the empirical proof?
No, not like that one. If you just go to the T-table in any of the statistics book T-table, actually student T distributions was available for n is equal to 29. So after that one, if you want to choose any samples, n is equal to 35, 36 like this, that one, in my time also, in that case, what happens? You have to approximate this by normal distributions, that is Z table. That's why after T distribution table, what is not available in T table, that is basically approximate by Z tables. So that's why they are called the large samples. And below that one, you can use Tn-1, that is 22 minus 1, 29 minus 1, and that was available from table. That's why they were called small sample table. Actually, that was taught in our time when no computers were available. You can think about this one situations. I'm telling you, that is the case of mu unknown but sigma known. When mu is unknown, how sigma is known? Population's variance is known. This can be done only in the classroom. In theory, it can be done this one, but if there is no practical relevance of this one.
Okay.
Nowadays, you can calculate p-values for 99,99,999. And in our time, it can be done only up to 30. So up to 30, that's why that was a small sample test. And after that, t-values were estimated by, approximated by Z distribution. That's why they are called the large samples. But nowadays, there is no relevance of small sample and large samples. You can calculate t-values for any values of n.
Okay, so my question is not that. My simple request to you is that, I mean, is there any empirical proof that yes, this 30 should be the number like that?
I really don't know. So far, my knowledge is concerned and what my teachers told me. Once I also asked the same questions to my statistics teacher.
Okay.
So he also answered in that manner. That is, when he was also a student at that time, same thing happened. The n values up to 30, it was available from T distributions. but t distributions cannot be calculated at that time after 30 because tables were not available. And that's why that was approximated by Z distribution, normal distributions. And normally, that's why from n is equal to 30 onwards, it was taken as large samples.
So please don't mind. I mean, when you
Yes,
graduated, when you graduated, when you completed your
1999.
PhD?
1999.
Okay, that's really a long time ago. Okay, we are quite junior. Okay. Because sir, I mean, I asked the same question to one of the, I mean, emeritus professor. I mean, the Bert, I mean, Gertzman sir from St.
Yes,
John's,
sir.
I mean, University, USA. I communicated, I mean, him through email, and he actually sent me a table. Just after, I mean, in the time between I'm talking to you, I have got that table, and in this particular table, the value of the t distribution, I mean, the number of, I mean, degree of freedom is actually, I mean, up to 1,000. So I'm getting confused that from 1 to 1,000 is available for that particular table.
Nowadays, it is available, but it was not available at least 20 years ago. 20 years
Okay,
ago,
so
it was
that is
not
the
available.
issue.
It was available, so not for all. Definitely, it may be available to some of the research institutions, but normally it was
Okay.
not available. Even till date, also, if you go through any statistics books, any good statistics books, there you find the t table only up to 30. After that, it was approximated by Z. That's why, in fact, what happens, I just show you a very simple one. You can check it.
Okay.
So suppose I want to find the t distribution. So let me make it. Whether it is visible, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is
Suppose
visible.
here I write is equal to t dist. Sorry, t inverse t INV. So 0.05 suppose. So it was, I calculate this one for suppose 29. We'll find some values. So it is n for 29. So for 29, I'll calculate this one.
Okay.
Okay. Now suppose I'm calculating this one for 9,999. 999. So that value is basically t dist t dist. Sorry, t INV 0.05, then 999. Gradually it becomes 1.96. Okay.
Okay.
Suppose here I consider this one for 30. So it was basically is equal to t INV 0.30. Then 30, suppose I consider this one for 67. So it's equal to t dist, sorry,
So TINV.
TINV 0.05, 05, and suppose 67. Gradually, we are looking this one 2.05 for 29, 30, and gradually it is coming towards 1.96.
Yes, sir.
Gradually
Yes,
it is
sir.
9 for 1 second. So whatever we use the value, suppose here I am taking 9999999, so many nines.
I mean,
And
gradually,
suppose-
sir, it is going to the, I mean,
Yes.
infinity value.
1.96. Gradually it is going towards 1.96, 0.05. Suppose I am doing this one for 99 lakhs, 99,999.
Okay.
Same 1.95 and 96. If I just go by up to 2 decimal points, both are 1.96. So gradually
Exactly,
it is going to 1.96. That's why it is
Exactly,
called the large samples. And in our time, in fact, in today's also in most of the textbook, it is the table, t table is available up to this 30, n is equal to 30, and after that it is approximated by Z distributions. Because
Yes, sir.
Z distributions under norm inverse is equal to norm inverse norm INV. So 0.05. So 0.05 it is, and 0 mean with 1, this one it is 1.96. 1 point, sorry. 1.95.
Yes, sir.
That's why
sir.
it is basically it is left hand stable, and here also if you go this one, so it becomes 1.96. That's
Yes,
same
sir. Yes, sir.
9.96.
Exactly.
That's why it is called the large sample or small sample. But nowadays there is no relevance of thinking this one as large sample, non sample or small samples, because t value is available for any values of n, finite
Okay.
value of n.
Okay. Sir, I mean,
Yes, sir.
please don't mind.
No, sir.
Back in your days, I mean, when you were actually pursuing your PhD, sir, in that point of time, would you use, I mean, Excel that much?
Yes, sir, I have used this one sometimes because I did my PhD on operation research, and actually I am afraid of statistics. So always I try
Okay.
to avoid statistics, always, each and every time.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
during my PhD
Yeah.
time also, whatever I done in R, because I did my PhD on the particular topic of Tripura, demand for an alternative road network in Tripura using that Floyd algorithms. And in Floyd's algorithm, there is no need of any statistics, sir.
Okay. Okay. Great.
I really am afraid of statistics. That's why I avoided that one.
Okay. Great then. Sir, if you please don't mind,
Yes, sir.
may I please have your email address with the kind permission from Honorable
Yes, sir. That
Organizing
is already available in that one. That is already available in that PPTs. You can mail me, sir. There is no problem.
Would you please be kind to write down your email address in the chat box so that I can write it down?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, I have to type
Thank
it.
you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. You are very kind, sir.
Sir. Hello, bye.
স্যার আছে
Okay,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So if there is no more questions, we can end up
Yes.
here.
yes sir
Others are feeling too bored now.
No, sir, your session is very excellent.
They have already tolerated me, na?
No, sir, your session is very
Sir,
very
you have not
excellent.
noticed the R. Sir, you have not noticed the R, na? Dear participants, thanks for tolerating me. I am really thankful to all of you to tolerate me.
Sir, no, sir,
You can
your
use the
session is
cursor
very
projector
excellent.
to write
Very
this one.
excellent, sir. I hope actually, I mean, I could be there in your classroom for a longer time.
No, sir.
Is there any other queries from other participants? So I hope there is no other queries, sir. Either they have understood it all or none.
The second option is better. I also did not understand anything. I'm afraid of this one, right?
Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Dr. Ferdos. You have interacted with our speaker very nicely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
And
very
at
much, sir,
least
for
we-
being so kind to me to allow me in this excellent program, sir.
Yeah,
No,
it is it is fulfilled only because of you, the participants.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. So, sir, thank you very much for kind enough to accept our invitation and delivering this wonderful session. I hope the relevant participants in this field have benefited a lot, like Dr. Ferdos has already expressed the same. So, thank you, Shubhida.
Thank you all for providing me this opportunity, and thank you for all of you for bear with me, because I'm really ashamed of that one, the technical problem I have facing this one. All three
No.
computers are not working properly. Somehow I have managed this one, and thanks to
No,
Mukesh also, my
this
students.
is the technical problem. There is nothing to do with it, and this might have happened with us also. So that is not.
You
an
can
issue.
tackle that one, but we the non-technical people really are unable to tackle this one. Bye. Sorry, bye.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, and thank
So-
you all the participants. So there is a small announcement that as it was already been informed earlier that we'll have the next session, that is the first session for the last day, that is tomorrow, which is going to be start from 11 a.m. Instead of 2 p.m. So we'll have the two sessions from 11 to 12:30 and 12:30 to 2. If it is not stretched, further. Okay, so after that, as per the previous information, after that the participant has to appear for an examination. There will be a small test organized by us in